Good morning. It's December 22nd, Tuesday. A lot has been going on, so we're gonna cover a few things about that new variant in the UK. I do want to mention some things that happened lately. My basement is compromised. They got basically shut down for offensive slash questionable content. So again, we see how they're limiting the free speech as they always have with everything, but now, especially with this pandemic, I have all my information backed up. And I have other friends who also have gotten their basements about SARS-2 compromised and turned private because of quote unquote offensive content. It's supposedly it's filters that are finding that. I'm also getting a test for the coronavirus or for SARS-2 tomorrow. I scheduled it a week ago because I've been exposed to so many people that are infected. I figured I might as well take a test, see where I'm at. Hopefully it will go smoothly. It took me a long time to get it because I have to wait a week to get it, and then I have to wait almost another week for results. And that is shameful, this far into the pandemic in this country. Because if I have the virus and it takes me 2 weeks to find out if I have it or not, and during those 2 weeks, if I'm not isolating, I mean, how am I gonna? Some people can't isolate. I can't isolate, and if I do have it, I'm spreading it for 2 weeks until I figure out that I had it, and then it's too late. Here at my job, cases are happening all over the place. I think we have over 20 cases at my store. Of course, it's kept quiet. They don't tell anybody who got it because it's supposedly a privacy issue, which is ridiculous. Because how are you supposed to know to isolate or to test if you don't know who it is? When there is a positive case at my job, they look on the cameras and they see anybody that the person may have been near to for a long time, and they'll notify that person, hey, you were near somebody who was exposed. Do you want to take 2 weeks paid off? Now, it's optional. There are people who decide to keep working because they have this blind, irrational loyalty to the company. And so it's a very bad situation at my job. Luckily, I'm in a department where I'm kind of on my own, and I'm mostly outdoor. It's not too bad. Besides that, we're gonna go over this new variant. I do want to mention before I start that if you haven't heard of TWIV or This Week in Virology, I would highly suggest that you watch their podcasts and videos. They're a new channel that I've taken an interest in. I've known about them for a while now, but the first time that I watched their video, I was kind of disappointed because they had an expert on, and it was basically a bunch of I don't knows, and we're not sure, and we don't know, and we could do more studies. Granted, it was earlier in the pandemic; they just don't know, or they didn't. And when it comes to the world of science, they don't want to say anything unless there's certainty. Until then, it's just all skepticism. But lately, they've had very good content that I've noticed, and this is sort of a breakdown of one of their recent videos. So we're going to go over the new variant in the UK because there's a lot of strange things happening with this variant, and especially in the way the government and the media is reacting to it. Plus, they give a really good educational background. So if you're new to virology, they try to be patient and run things through so you can try to have at least a basic understanding. So CG report number 114. New SARS-2 variant in the UK, part 1. Viruses mutate all the time. It seems most people, many who have not even a basic understanding of virology, are letting themselves be swayed by sensational media headlines without trying to understand any of the science behind all this. More obvious than ever before, the mass media is causing fear and panic by making claims that do not have substantial evidence about the new variant. Why? Partly for the governments of the world to continue to lock down their populations harder, causing many political, social, and devastating economic issues. This is not to say that the virus isn't dangerous, because it is, but the lack of degree of professionalism and scientific procedure in this latest variant is strange. And historically, we have seen how governments take full advantage of catastrophic events to tighten down their grip on their populations. So what is a mutation? A mutation is a change in DNA or RNA comprising base changes in nucleotide additions, deletions, and rearrangements. When mutations occur, in open reading frames, they can be manifested as changes in the synthesized proteins. For example, one or more base changes in a specific codon may produce a single amino acid substitution, a truncated protein, or no protein. The terms mutation and deletion are often used incorrectly or ambiguously to describe alterations in proteins. That last point is very important. The media is referring to this by the wrong scientific terms. Even people who are supposedly professionals are using the wrong terms when it comes to the virus. And it gives you the idea that a lot of these people that we thought knew what they're talking about don't know what they're talking about. Of course, I already knew who doesn't know what they're talking about to some degree. So in conclusion, some mutations are lethal. Some destroy the ability of the virus to reproduce the next time it infects the cell. Many of them are neutral, they do nothing. Some may have an impact. Part 2. SARS-2 genome is always mutating. What is known? There are 12,000 mutations that have been cataloged in 90,000 isolates. Any two isolates differ by 10 bases. None have led to a new strain, one that has a distinct biological property. Yeah, a lot of media is at fault for using the word strain without properly knowing what the word means. None have proven implications for human transmission or pathogenesis. It's very important because when that D164 came out, people were saying a lot of things about it. The media was doing the sensational headlines, but there was no science to back it up. The wild theories, So none have proven implications for human transmission or pathogenesis. Transmission of SARS-2 occurs mostly from superspreader events. 80% of transmissions are caused by 10% of infectious individuals. Part 3. About the new variant in the UK. As seen on many occasions before, mutations are naturally expected for viruses and are most often simply neutral regional markers, useful for contact tracing. The mutations seen have rarely been affecting viral fitness and almost never affect clinical outcome, but the detailed effects of these mutations remain to be determined fully. In places where they see the variant R, in places where they see the variant, the R value is increasing, the media claims because of this increased transmission, it must be the variant. However, that's inconclusive and no experiments have been done yet to prove this. That's what everybody is missing about this new variant. Moreover, you can't use epidemiological data to prove a biological effect of a amino acid change in a virus. You have to do experiments to do that. Nerve tag. Now this is the study that the media and many people are taunting around, and I don't think many people have even read it. They just go by what they hear about it. Anyhow, nerve tag has moderate confidence that the VUI 2020-12-01 demonstrates a substantial increase in transmissibility compared to other variants. Two problems here. Saying moderate confidence and substantial, this seems like circumstantial evidences that do not prove anything. If you want to conclude that this virus is more transmissible, you need to measure infectious virus. Even PCR test doesn't measure infectious virus. Nerve tag also says later that there isn't sufficient data to draw these conclusions anyways. It's too soon to tell at the moment. If you think a virus is transmitting better, one possibility is that it is more stable in the environment, and that can be tested. Another possibility is that the infected people shed more virus in respiratory secretions. That can be tested. So measure shedding and compare it to people infected with other variants that are circulating in these areas. However, nerve tag doesn't have this on their list of experiments. PCR and sequencing cannot answer these questions. Nucleic acid is not infectious virus. This experiment is not going to be easy because you have to have a cohort of people infected with this variant and a variant that's different, and compare shedding by isolating virus. And you do that in cell culture and in a BSL-3 laboratory. So I do want to mention one other thing about the virus. So in terms of will it affect the vaccine, nobody knows yet. People are saying, "Oh, this new strain is going to be a problem for the vaccines." It can be, but we don't know yet. So why are people just jumping on the bandwagon that it is or it isn't without proof? Because we don't know yet. Is the virus more lethal? We don't know yet. Does it spread faster? It might, but we don't know yet. It's too soon. And we've seen how the media and the governments are quick to shut everything down even harder, saying that it spreads faster when clearly it doesn't. And at fault of this is your friend, Dr. John Campbell, who went on the news the other day and basically said that, well, I was on the video. Let me see. Where was I? Yeah, so this guy he was on the news. He was just making the same mistake that I just was talking about earlier. He's saying that the virus spreads faster when we have no idea whether or not. Oops, we have no idea whether or not it does. And he was, you can, I mean, I've been criticizing this guy for a long time, and he just gets worse and worse and worse, and yet he's at the forefront of information when he's not even the professional that people are making him out to be. Anyhow, he went on there and made a fool out of himself. We don't know yet. I would have liked for him to tell me on what experiments were done to prove that it's 70% more transmissive, because he wouldn't have nothing to say. In fact, he kind of almost tripped over himself when he was talking about it. But oh well, it's important to point that out. Now here's another thing about the vaccines, and this is according to TWIF, because I was watching their podcast. It is not known yet if the vaccine will prevent you from spreading it. There are some vaccines that decrease viral load of a virus to make it less transmissible. But because again, it's a novel virus, we're dealing with a brand new vaccine, so we just don't have the answers to these things yet. It is possible that this vaccine can prevent you from getting sick, but you can still spread it to other people. And this completely destroys the theory of herd immunity that people were having with the vaccines. That, well, if everybody gets infected, then the vaccine won't be able to spread. And if it doesn't spread, it won't be able to reach those that are vulnerable if we have mass vaccinations, and that will increase herd immunity. However, we still don't know if people can spread the virus or not with the vaccine. Another issue. And one more thing. This is also recommended from TWIV, so I'm going to give a small breakdown. Seizure point number 115. Yes, young people are dying of SARS-2. New research shows that July may have been the deadliest month for young adults in modern American history. Young adults are dying at historic rates. In research published on Wednesday in the journal of something, I had to abbreviate it for space, they found that among U.S. adults ages 25 to 44 from March through the end of July, there were almost 12,000 more deaths than were expected based on historical norms. Those are excess deaths, by the way. I've talked about that many times before. In fact, July appears to have been the deadliest months among this age group in modern American history. Over the past 20 years, an average of 11,000 young American adults died each July. This year, that number swelled to over 16,000. While detailed data are not yet available for all areas, we know SARS-2 is the driving force behind these excess deaths. It's obvious. Consider New York State. In April and May, SARS-2 killed 1,081 adults ages 20 to 49, according to statistics we gathered from the New York State Health Department. Remarkably, this figure towers over the state's usual leading cause of deaths in that age group: unintentional accidents, including drug overdoses and road accidents, which combined to cause 495 deaths in the demographic during April and May of 2018, the most recent year for which data are available to the public. After the Northeast horrific first surge this spring subsided, similar trends began to become apparent in other regions over the summer. As caseloads among the younger population rose nationwide, SARS-2 became a leading cause of deaths among younger adults in other regions. While deaths from the virus temporarily exceeded opioid deaths among young adults in some areas this year, we are also concerned that unintentional overdose deaths may have increased during the pandemic as well. Stay-at-home policies have saved lives, but their benefits have not been equally distributed. Among essential workers, many of whom are people of color, sheltering in place was never a real option. So we're not dealing just with a pandemic of SARS-2 anymore. We're dealing with a pandemic of fascism, a pandemic of political, social, and economic destruction. It's going to, the damage that this virus is going to cause to the world, if it does not stop, will become greater than the damage of the virus itself. Thank you for watching, and I'll try to do another video today to look at the news and the numbers, because today's Tuesday. Tuesday's when we get the big numbers.